Hi friend, you're just in time. I need an unbiased opinion today. I'm about to do a walkthrough of my garden to determine whether or not all the time and effort I have put in have been worth it. Come along with me and help me make that assessment.
This should be an eggplant. I'm not sure that it is. I really need to get my camera to identify it to make sure. Google Lens. That's what I planted in there, but knowing me, I probably planted something else in there with it. Okay, let's go in and I'll show you this melon that I was talking about and how I already see two little holes, at least two holes here. Actually, I guess there's more than two. One here, one, yeah, okay, maybe it's just two. That one. And it doesn't look like, it doesn't even look like a cantaloupe, which is what made me check it to make sure, but we'll see. I've never grown cantaloupe before, so I don't know what they look like growing. And I had squash, vining squash as well as straight neck squash growing here, but it just was not a good place for it for some reason, I guess. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm having trouble growing squash. So, but I'm not going to give up. And look at that. You can see the yuckiness coming out of the coming out of that melon from the pickleworm. And this is a straight neck squash. I decided to leave it in there to see what would happen. And here are my carrots. They're coming along really well. Pleased with those. My first time growing carrots as well. These amazingly germinated in 4 days. And this particular one, this is a squash plant here, and it's been hanging on. I had it in the other cage next door over there where the okra and all that is, and I decided to move it over here, and it's doing much better here. Perhaps because it's getting more light, and also the temperatures have dropped a little bit at night, so I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. I think I'm beginning to see, yeah, I think I see a little flower forming down there. So I guess I need to start leaving this screen open so that pollinators can get in. And even this cantaloupe has a lot of tiny melons, but I probably can't get. I'm getting bugs, but not the right kind, obviously, with that the pickleworm, because I did see a couple of those white moths in here, but the lizards took care of those. They have been my allies for sure in the garden. And these are my okra plants here from behind. Inside this cage, they have outgrown the cage. So next year, the next time I plant, I think I'll just not worry about trying to plant them inside. I'll plant them outside so that they can grow as tall as they need to grow, because this isn't working. And these are more of the Chinese long beans, or yard long beans, that I'm trying to grow. For some reason, they're not taking off as well as these over here did. And then I think these may be coming to the end of their growth period, because I'm only getting a few on there. Here's one there that's starting. Here's one here that's full. It's about time for me to harvest that, because even though it says yard long, you should not let them get to be a yard long. And behind these, the other vines that you are seeing are sweet potato vines. But I only planted about 6 beans because I just wanted to try it to see. And this particular pod, I'm letting it get as long as it possibly can, because I want to use it as I want to get the seeds from it. They taste better when you harvest them when the beans are between 12 and 18 inches. You let them get longer. According to what I've read, they don't taste as good. But the okra is still producing a little bit. But in front of the tall ones, I have more growing. And these are supposed to be the 16-inch long Louisiana okra. Again, you don't let them grow to 16 inches, maybe 10 or 12 inches, they say. But I probably need to go ahead and cut this other okra back, so that these can get enough sunlight, because right now they're not. And right now also, I think I have bug pressure here. Those look like they might be aphids, I'm thinking. But usually, as usual, it's sticking to one plant. Had this happened before. But what's surprising though is that if these are aphids, there are no ants on here. But that could be because the ants here really prefer these beans. They love the long beans. They love to stay at the top of them. You might be able to see one right there. In fact, one stung me. I didn't realize they were on there. And one bit me, stung me, whatever ants do. And I think this produces, I guess it produces a sweetness, a sugary substance because of the flour that is produced from these beans. And the ants are always on them. So apparently the ants prefer this to the aphids that are over there, if those are indeed aphids. I had cucumbers here and I took them out because they weren't doing anything. I may have gotten a total of 2 cucumbers, and then 3 of them that did form had pickleworm in them as well. And since I took them out, these bean plants are starting to produce some. I'm starting to see some green beans on them. But again, it is probably a little hot for this particular type of green bean. So I planted some in the other cage that are better for my area. And they're going to be over here in this cage. That's those right there. Those are Contender beans. We'll go inside and get a closer look at those. One thing I am extremely proud of is my bell pepper. I found finally grew bell peppers. There are only 3 of them on here, and 2 of them have turned red. I think they're just beautiful. And that one is a smaller one, and it still has not turned red. I think I might see a little bit of darkness beneath there, but for some reason it's not turning red like the others did. But I think they're just a beautiful red. I can't remember if these are Yolo Wonder or it must be Yolo Wonder because the other ones are supposed to be a giant bell pepper, but I guess that doesn't always mean anything because if they're not in the right conditions, you're not going to get a giant bell pepper. And the fact that there are only 3 on here says that the conditions were not totally perfect. I see a snail. If you can see it, I'm having trouble with snails throughout this garden. But I have no trouble growing sweet banana peppers, that's for sure. And these are okra from my first batch of okra. I'm just letting them do whatever in here. They're not producing much, but I just want to say it. You can call it an experiment because I want to see exactly what will happen. And these are peppers that I transplanted. That they weren't doing anything at first, and I thought they were not going to grow at all, but I decided to go ahead and transplant them, and they're growing. And this one even beginning to produce flower buds, I think, tiny as it is. So I'm just going to let them go, let them be, let them do their thing. I removed all of the old tomato plants out. I was trying to see if I could get them to produce once more with the temperatures dropping, but they started to get very diseased, so I removed those. And by doing so, it really made that again. Oh gosh, basil, Tulsi basil, Genovese and Tulsi are my favorite basils to eat, and that's a Tulsi. Okay, I have a little bit of dill here. Some parsley still, and again this one is either cardinal basil or Tulsi. Actually, I take that back. That over there is Thai basil, and this is Tulsi or holy basil. And these are the beans up close. You see that they look better, healthier than the other beans do, and I think I'm beginning to see some flower buds forming, hopefully. Again, more basil. And in my case, said basil can sort of deter insects, but I'm finding that the insects in my garden are eating the basil. Okay, more oregano. And this is a black creme tomato. And I see it, I've seen a few, it has a few flowers that I've seen on here, and I'm seeing the flowers have dropped, and it has little tiny tomatoes that you can't see yet with this camera yet. But I'm hopeful that I will get a tomato harvest. Since my other one did pretty good, but it was just too hot. In Florida, it is difficult. Zone 9A is very difficult to grow tomatoes. Even with the shade cloth, maybe I just wasn't consistent enough, or maybe I didn't have the right fertilizer, because this is all new to me, so I'm learning as I go. And those zinnias probably need to be pulled out, but I don't want to anger that wasp nest there. They are fine with me coming in here, and even I can stand right beside them and they don't attack me. I guess they've gotten used to my presence. But as soon as I start bothering things in the garden near them, then they want to come out and say, okay, you're too close. You're in our territory now. And I'm letting them stay because they are good against certain pests, from what I understand. But I also have lots of lizards in here. I guess they've gone to, I'm not sure where they are right now. Usually they're scurrying everywhere. I mean, lots of lizards. It's so funny, when I come out to water the plants, they run out and wait for a puddle to form and dash into the puddle to get a drink. See, that's baby lizard right there. I'm constantly saying little babies. They're everywhere. But it's getting to be a pretty hot day, so they may have hidden themselves in the shade somewhere. And this little area here is where I'm keeping my starts once they have got to a certain height. I'm thinking of possibly starting them out here now, because this has proven to be awesome. It keeps me from having to harden off plants in the normal way, taking them out of the house, or bringing them out of the house and taking them back in, bringing them out again and taking them back in. This sort of helps me to get them accustomed or acclimatized without having to do that. And it's worked out great so far. This says chives, but they're not chives in there anymore. Chives didn't grow. They didn't germinate at all. The seed was too old, I'm pretty sure. So that's more viola that I just put in there because I split some of the plants, and more parsley, and all the rest of this is are violas, and this is of course dill. So I need to find a spot in the green stalks or somewhere in the garden for them. And I have a new area over here in the ground. I have premier kale here, and these greens here are mustard greens for the most part. I planted them as almost like a cover crop, I guess you could say. And then I put in should be a scarlet kale eventually if it comes up. And at each post, I planted a climbing nasturtium. We'll see how that goes. And there's one right there, the tiny one right there. You can see it. That's coming up at that post. And this is also premier kale. I'm sorry, this is scarlet kale. And this is premier kale. And this is triple curl parsley. This basically is a garden for my chickens. Large leaf sorrel. Again, all of the greenery that you're seeing so far are mustard greens.
Well, I guess that about covers it. I'm glad you were able to come along with me today in my garden. It's always good to share it with others. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below in the comment section. And if you have a garden yourself, I would love it if you would share some of your photos or advice even in the community section, where you can actually make posts yourself. That would be so awesome if you would do that. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.